Hi John, it's Ceara Treacy here with the HDIP in Computing, and this is my screencast for CA3, our final submission. The outline of the screencast today is a discussion of the rules implemented by our system, overview of the project code, including some of the code that I led the way with, a discussion of and generation of summary data from the database, and use of standard terminology and HL7, and a discussion on security. So the database rules are, the rules for our system is that a patient must have a next of kin to register on their system, forms the patient next of kin table, and it's in order to verify that the patient has received an immunisation, we need to know the patient's next of kin, the immunisations received, and the healthcare professional that administered the immunisations forms an immunisations recorded table. So our code. This is our code for our final submission. I'll just scroll to the top here. This was done collaboratively and collectively in several different ways, but in general we did it all together, and between pair programming and when we got stuck, passed on and brainstorming among each other. So Mark did the login menu and register, which was done from CA1. We have the login in the healthcare professional. Here we have registration of the healthcare professional. We have registration of next of kin. We have registration of patient. Join the patient and next of kin table, which is one of our rules. View patient immunisation received. This is the piece of code that I took the lead with and completed with the assistance of Mark, Ruth and Bridget on different occasions whenever I got stuck. So we have brought in our scanner and our connection. We have the request from the healthcare professional to enter the patient's first name. And then myself and Mark did a prepared statement and patient call. We came up with the SQL code that would pull from all of our different tables, and the result is called out, is put into this variable when it's executed. And then we had if the result is a next, and while the result is a next, it meant it kept going through the database. It was getting the string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and putting them into these variables here. Check for first name, last name, I description, age, due. And then if the last name equals the check last name, so the last name pulled out equals the check first name, the immunisation will be printed out. This is the code that I took the lead on, the view patient. So Mark completed view patient immunisation record with me, and then I took the lead with completing the method that we're coming down to here. Pass the right to HL11 is the method for the next immunisation due. So again, we took in our scanner and our connection. We created an array list up here, we prompted the patient in first name and last name. Then we created a prepared statement and selected from our database tables and the connections. So our first name and last name is in our person table. Immunisation, immunised description, date, and immunised number of injection is in, of course, the immunisation table. And in order to get all of these, we had to join on the IDs here. So patient is patient on p next of kin dot p dot id d dot patient dot pid. So it's on next of kin at the patient ID and the patient ID. And similarly down here, patient, the person ID and the person ID. This is how the tables join together. And we put that into a result on the execution, and then it was in an if statement. If the result has an X, then I created a variable int I and went into a while. So while the results had something next, it checked through the whole database, and then we looked at again getting strings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We put them into these variables here, and then we had if the last name equals the check excuse me, last name again, and the first name is a check. We got to print out the description of the immunizations that the patient had received, and then we created a second prepared statement excuse me, where we selected all from the immunizations, and then we put it into result and went through that result. And then while the result in, we were looking for the ID in the immunization ID table, and string immunization, the description, the age gene, and then we put this into the array list. The in list dot added the immunization ID, immunization description, age gene, and then we went through the array list, and if found if I, the variable that was created above, equals IID, then we printed out this next immunization due was the immunization, the description, and the age that is due. So then to move on from there, we've looked at the code. We look at the use case scenario. So to register a new patient, the GP or the healthcare professional logs on, triggers the doctor, the actors are the healthcare professional, patient, and next of kin. The conditions are that Dr. Whately is already registered with the system and the patient does not already exist, and the goals are to register new patient and new next of kin. So I will demonstrate this now in our code. So we're going to run the program. Slow, moving along, let's go. Move this up a little bit. Just check that my exam's on. Okay. Good, so we're going to log into the system. Username is Paul Clinic, I think. And enter your password is Paul. Right, you're logged in. Please pick an option from the banner. So we want to register a new patient. So we put 1, register a new patient. Next to kin's first name, so I'll put first name, we'll call her Mick. And Murphy. And next address, Mary. PPS1. We have the phone number and email address. And new next of kin added to the system, and then we put into the patient's first name, so we'll call her Ceara. Murphy. Patient's address is there. And PPS as for Ceara, and the date of birth is sex, she's female. So then if we go to our tables, go into our patient. See that chemo has been added. And Ceara. Okay. So that was the login, username and password, register new patient, next of kin, enter next of kin's first name, last name, address, enter patient's first name, last name, and as you've seen, main menu or progresses. Use case 2 is update immunisation done when he logs into the system. It wants to update a patient's immunisation record. The actors are the healthcare professional, patient. The preconditions are that Dr. Wakely is already registered and the patient is existing patient. Goals to update the immunisation record. So I'm not going to run that method because we did that in our demonstration class. What I am going to do is look at the method that I took the lead on, which is the next immunisation due. So that's view individualised view patient's next immunisation, which is number 4. So per Ceara, patient surname Murphy, and her next immunisation due is the BCG description, BCG age due of birth. Please pick an option from the following. So she has just been registered on the system, but the doctor hasn't registered the fact that she has had her BCG. So when the doctor administers the BCG, then it will be logged into the system and we can find it out. Rules demo, we talked about the normalization of the database tables and the advantages of that. The fact that it actually corresponds with our classes. We have person contact details which has patients, next of kin, healthcare professionals, patients, next of kin table that connects the patients and the next of kin. Healthcare professional gets connected to both the patient and the next of kin via the patient next of kin table. And then immunisations are a table on the wall. So interoperability and the advantages of HL7. I just want to say that on the code there were 10 methods written totally, and the structure was decided as a group from as object orientated as we could manage at this stage. And like I said, the classes were created to reflect the tables. So then, advantages of HL7 and why you would use standardized terminology. The reasons that it is necessary to use standard terminology is that there are lots of benefits, including meeting mandated interoperability requirements and standards. It also facilitates communication among healthcare professionals and other nurses and doctors and such, and adheres to the standards of care and best practices, and it also evaluates the effectiveness of community healthcare levels and giving better visibility to your work. I'm going to stop now, John, and go on to another one where I'll look at the advantages of HL7 as I've reached 14 minutes and 42. Okay, I'll see you in part 2. It'll be short.